Welcome back to HKIBC News. U.S. President Joe Biden is considering whether to impose sanctions against his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. This follows concerns about an energy crunch in Europe if the Ukraine crisis worsens. Members of the U.S. Air Force loaded ammunition and weapons on a plane heading for Ukraine. Washington has ramped up security assistance to Kyiv, including putting 8,600 troops on alert to preempt a potential Russian invasion. The Pentagon said more combat soldiers could be deployed to bolster NATO's eastern flank. But the White House said the Western alliance will not put boots on the ground in Ukraine.
We have no intention of putting American forces or NATO forces in Ukraine. But as I said, there are going to be serious economic consequences if he moves.
Biden signaled that he could level sanctions against Putin if a full-scale incursion goes ahead. That's on top of hardened penalties ready to be imposed on Russia's financial system and banks. But some European governments, including France, are worried because they rely on Russian natural gas.
We're engaging our European allies to coordinate response planning, including how to deploy their existing energy stockpiles. So any reduction in Russian exports of natural gas to Europe would have a minimal impact on U.S. prices.
Russia's ally China, meanwhile, urged all countries to uphold the Olympic truce resolution that the United Nations General Assembly adopted last month. With its Winter Games round the corner, Beijing called for dialogue and cooperation to defuse tensions and avoid confrontation. Talks between the Taliban, Afghan civilians, and Western diplomats have ended in Norway, with Oslo stressing that a meeting does not confer legitimacy on the rulers in Kabul.
It's a mere framework to address them, communicate messages, and hold them accountable. I know this is a challenge for many to see the Taliban being received in Oslo. It is also something that is a troubling thing for many people, including for me. But the alternative, to leave Afghanistan, 1 million children at the danger of starving, half of the population in need of humanitarian aid, 90% of the economy really out of any proper working, that is no option.
Activists slammed Norway's decision to host the Taliban, who have been accused of oppressing Afghans, especially women. But the Taliban hailed the Oslo talks as an achievement, which they said brought them closer to the world. The hardline group has been struggling to steer Afghanistan out of a humanitarian crisis worsened by winter and frozen foreign aid. Large crowds have taken to the streets as Australia marked a national holiday to remember the first Europeans who set foot on the southern continent.
What do we want? Land rights! What do we want? Land rights! What do we want?
Protesters marched in the capital, Canberra, calling for Australia Day to be abolished. They said the arrival of the first British convict ships in 1788 led to the oppression of the indigenous population. Large demonstrations also took place in Sydney and Brisbane. In Melbourne, a statue of British explorer James Cook was doused with red paint. Bargain hunting and the rally by some tech stocks helped the Hang Seng Index end a two-day losing streak. The tech sector made strides as investors awaited the outcome of a U.S. Federal Reserve meeting, which is expected to shed light on the pace of interest rate increases. NetEase jumped 4.3%, while Tencent and JD.com each rose 1.5%. Healthcare stocks slipped amid moves to lower prices for medicines on the mainland. Wuxi Biologics lost almost 7%. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed up 46 points. Top 10 active stocks: Tencent up $6.80, Alibaba up 10 cents. Kuaishou Technology up $3.35, China Mobile up $1.10, and Hong Kong exchanges down $6.40. Forex trading against Hong Kong dollar. Euro is trading at 8.78, Canadian dollar at 6.19, and Australian dollar at 5.58. Over to the UK market, FTSE 100 is up 126 points. With the COVID pandemic continuing, the International Monetary Fund has lowered its forecast for world growth this year, putting it at 4.4%, half a percentage point from its earlier prediction. Part of the reason is that expansion is losing steam in China and the United States.
Now, the forecast is subject to high uncertainty, and risks overall are to the downside. The emergence of deadlier variants could prolong the crisis. China's zero-COVID strategy could exacerbate global supply disruptions. And if financial stress in the country's real estate sector spreads through the broader economy, the ramifications would be felt widely. Higher inflation surprises in the U.S. could elicit aggressive monetary tightening by the Federal Reserve and sharply tighten global financial conditions.
On to the weather now. Tomorrow will be mainly cloudy with 1 or 2 rain patches in the morning. Temperatures range between 18 and 22 degrees. Similar conditions on Friday before the mercury drops over the weekend. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for this Wednesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Sarah Wong. Thanks for joining us and take care.